Hello, and welcome to our online, on-demand webinar dealing with the formation of a 501c3 entity. My name is Virgil Dismeyer, and I will be your SCORE host for the session. While most SCORE clients go into business as a for-profit business, many want to spend their time in the non-profit area. Today we're going to help those who seek the latter type of enterprise. We are fortunate to have a SCORE member who has years of experience counseling in this area. It is my pleasure to introduce David Miller, who will lead this discussion. David, introduce yourself.
Hello, Virgil. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a senior level professional with 23 years in the nonprofit industry, holding positions as Executive Director and Chief Development Officer. I have 10 years experience as a serial entrepreneur in the for-profit sector, owning businesses in advertising and design, marketing, public relations, promotions, and manufacturing. I was an international photojournalist in the travel and entertainment industry, a published columnist for a weekly newspaper for 7 years, and I published an online newsletter in the nonprofit economic development sector for 7 years. But after leaving the for-profit sector in 1991, my passion has been working in the nonprofit industry, especially with 501c3 tax-exempt entities. I hope you will find the webinar informative and helpful as we progress through the application for the 501c3. The application will be an educational and challenging effort for you. Remember, as with any major project, you will need to verify your activities with local and state rules and regulations. Let's get started. Why would you want to start a 501c3 nonprofit organization? Have you always wanted to leave the world a better place than you found it? When people start 501c3 nonprofit organizations, they contribute something positive to their community. People choose an issue that is important to them, and something that is a matter of public interest, like the arts, charities, education, health, or religion, all specifically non-commercial. And by the way of a 501c3 status, there are certain and unique funding resources available for the nonprofit that are not authorized for other nonprofit categories. Resources like grants from foundations, grants from corporations, and the ability for individuals to deduct their contributions at income tax time. We'll review the 13 steps to apply for a 501c3 tax-exempt status. The application process can take up to a year or more depending on your diligence in completing the required documents and sending those documents to the IRS at one time. Length can be a key. Here's an example of a worst-case event. The following is true. A local rod and gun club applied for a 501c3 tax-exempt status in May of 2012. The application was submitted under the education category because the club provides educational programs to youth and adults in hunter safety, firearm safety, and conservation. The application progressed along until October of 2012 when one of the IRS reviewers took issues with the gun aspect of the organization. Communication went back and forth through the start of 2013, and then the Sandy Hook catastrophe occurred. The application was placed on hold through the next 4 months, and then the IRS Tax-Exempt Division underwent scrutiny by Congress. Once the congressional investigation ended, the club received its approval. The application processing time is also dependent upon the number of applications the IRS needs to review. It is not a requirement that you use an attorney to complete the documents and the application. Many people apply on their own. For example, as a CyberScore mentor, the bulk of my SCORE clients come to me through SCORE's national registration and sent directly to my SCORE email account. I work with these clients from the world over, all of them over the internet through email. Since January of this year, I have added over 65 clients who wanted to start their own 501c3 nonprofit organizations. And those numbers are just for one SCORE mentor. It is not a requirement that you use an attorney to complete the documents and the application. Many people apply on their own, as I mentioned. Much of it will depend on you or your organizational skills, your willingness to persevere, and your overall management of the process. There are absolutely no guarantees that you will gain 501c3 tax-exempt status by sending in the application. A first step is to determine your nonprofit type. Will your nonprofit support some issue of public concern, such as the arts, charities, education, religion, health, research, or some other endeavor for non-commercial purposes? It has to. The IRS publication is the Bible for individuals who want to start a tax-exempt 501c3 nonprofit. Again, it can be helpful to consult with an attorney, although it is not required by the IRS. Publication 557 is a typical IRS publication, 80 pages of information and much of it specific instruction. It also contains many references to the documents you will learn about in this presentation. The publication includes the application document known as Form 1023. The website address is on the slide. This is your key IRS document to download and study. Since any nonprofit must file with the IRS, this publication will provide background and much-needed instructions on the completion of the application. Nonprofits are a huge segment of the U.S. economy. The statistics here were pulled from a recent survey and give you an idea of the number of nonprofits in the United States. Charities are by far the largest segment, and total revenues and total employees both create about 6 to 7% of the U.S. economy and workforce. Here are some great resources for those of you creating a nonprofit in Minnesota. These websites provide forums and information to help you establish your nonprofit. If you are viewing this presentation from another state, contact your state's official business, economic development department, nonprofit council, or the Secretary of State's office for specific requirements and state registration of your organization. The IRS Form 1023 checklist is a perfect reminder tool. The checklist is a downloadable document from the IRS website, and it's necessary for you to complete the checklist and send it with your application. This is very important. If you don't include the checklist, your application will be returned and delayed. There are no exceptions. This is the same process you will need to follow when including special provisions in your articles of incorporation, which will be discussed shortly. Again, there are no exceptions in this process. Next, let's talk about the heart of your nonprofit, the mission statement. The mission statement is a concise expression, usually in 1 or 2 sentences, about who the organization is, what it does, for whom and where it is organized. Be sure to make your mission statement compelling. It will be used in published materials, funding requests, marketing, and public relations. Your mission statement should portray how your organization is different than others. But don't overdo it. Keep it short. A 2 or 3 paragraph description is not a mission statement. Ladies and gentlemen, that's called an epic. Keep it short, keep it simple. Remember, it will or should be published in all of your documents, including fundraising appeals. And again, it should be compelling and right to the heart. This is sometimes difficult to do in a short description. If it does not work for you, forget it and move on. It's not mandatory for the application, but it's good to have for all other publications. Here's a mission statement example from Essentia Health, along with an additional statement from them. And that's okay to do. Essentia's mission statement clearly reflects their value of caring for the sick above and before all else. It's that simple. Their statement also identifies what makes them different from other similar organizations. It's a very short sentence. On the other extreme, The University of Minnesota's mission statement is 327 words long. Homer would smile. The mission statement for SCORE is, SCORE grows successful small businesses across America, one business at a time. It's simple, 12 words, and it says it all. Your board of directors. The next step is forming a board of directors, which requires careful thought and extensive recruitment. You need to identify qualified members with expertise in areas in the needs for your organization. Board members should be supportive of your mission and willing to give their time and talents. You may have the title of executive director, but that doesn't mean you do everything your organization needs. Do not allow board members to bully you. You also do not need to go out and select board members to handle every aspect of your organization. Folks, I cannot stress enough the importance of finding board members who will help you raise funds for your organization. Granted, you won't get 100% of your board who can easily raise funds and find it easy or comfortable to ask people for money. But the more individuals you find that are skilled at fundraising or willing to learn, the better it will be for your organization. You can use family members on your board. The IRS does not have specific rules or laws regarding governance and the makeup of your board when it comes to relatives. However, a board that consists of 100% family members is not ideal in any situation and can and will raise flags. But the number of people on your board may be dictated by state regulations. You will need to verify this. Avoiding even numbers of board members, such as 2, 4, 6, 8, will be helpful when a vote is required. Refer to Robert's Rules of Order if you need to. In my experience, the magic number of directors is 3, 5, or 7. Anything over that could be a nightmare. Your Articles of Incorporation, also known as the organizing document, will be one of the most important documents that you prepare. If you are seeking nonprofit status, you need to be a corporation. The type of corporation will depend on your business structure. Many are limited liability corporations, or LLC. There are, however, other structures that you can use. Comparison listings of those structures are available. Contact me or your local economic development office or a SCORE mentor for assistance. The IRS requires specific provisions to appear as amendments in your Articles of Incorporation. These specific provisions can be found on Form 1023. Your Articles of Incorporation are just one of the documents that you will need to submit. Any Form 1023 application that is sent in with your Articles of Incorporation that do not have these provisions stated will not be reviewed, will be kicked back to you, and will cause a delay in the processing. No exceptions. The first provision relates to your exempt purpose. You are filing because your entity will be involved as a charity or religious organization or for educational or scientific health purposes. If you can't satisfactorily describe your entity within those 4 categories, then the 501c3 tax-exempt status is not for you. The second provision is the dissolution of your organization and how you're going to distribute remaining assets to the category you're filing under. Within the narrative and the amendment, you need to specify the location of your dissolution clause as it appears in your articles, such as the page, article, and paragraph numbers. That's a very easy step to do. There are other specific documents that you will need to prepare and include with your Form 1023 application. We have discussed your Articles of Incorporation as one of them. You will also need a business plan, narrative, and budget. The business plan defines your business, identifies your goals, and serves as your organization's resume. The basic components describe the nonprofit's activities, its structure, organization, and management. Additionally, it informs potential employees of your scope of your business operation. The narrative is a required section within Form 1023. It is the who, what, where, when, why, and how of your entity. If you have ever written a theme paper, you can do this. You can do this on your own. The person who will review Form 1023 can only realize your passion through your words. The budget is a financial section of your business plan. The budget will include a 3 to 5 year pro forma or projections, cash flow analysis, and a balance sheet. The budget will probably change. That's okay. A budget is a guideline. Use the business plan as a guide to help you allocate resources, handle unforeseen complications, and make good business decisions. It provides specific and organized information about your company and how you will repay borrowed money if you need it. Next up, we're going to talk about resources. Plan and budget resources are available on the SCORE Minnesota website, the Small Business Administration website, also known as sba.gov, and the SCORE website. I encourage you to also contact a SCORE mentor for additional assistance. Funding resources. Money. Here we go. There are many resources that can be used to help fund your nonprofit's activities. You can use funds to pay yourself and employees, but you need to be careful where you draw these operations from. Some grants will only apply to projects and programs. You will need to clarify what you can use the funds for with the granting entity. Record keeping. There is no specific requirement to save your documents by the IRS, but be prudent and responsible. Maintain them in original formats, in fire and flood-proof storage units, and in digital formats. Don't forget to back up your files and use the cloud if you need to. Remember, you are dealing with the IRS and the public. Your accounting system. Let's say that your passion places you in an executive director's position within your organization. However, you may not have a degree in accounting or bookkeeping and the knowledge to develop an accounting system. You do, however, need to be aware of the financial and accounting terms that are going to be used within your system. If you're fortunate enough to have an accountant or bookkeeper on your board, so be it. If not, seek professional assistance. Do not play the part of an accountant as if you would on a stage. Doing so will be certain doom for your organization. It is vital to establish a system of controls, checks and balances when establishing the organization's accounting practices. And just as important as having a professional accountant or bookkeeper, seek a qualified attorney for legal assistance. Do not play an attorney. Many accountants and attorneys will sit down with you and give you an hour for free to discuss what you might need. If you have a friend who is an accountant or an attorney, invite them out to lunch and let them know what you need. Seek their advice. Regardless of whether or not you have employees, you will need a federal employer identification number or a federal ID for organizational identification. This is a basic federal government ID number, or FEIN. You will use it in the future whenever you have anything to do with the financial documentation of your organization, applying for grants, paying employee tax, bank accounts, insurance, and so on. You have to have it. It's the law. It is easy to obtain. Go to the IRS website. Run a search and you'll find it. To file for your tax-exempt status, first obtain Form 1023 application and IRS Publication 557. When you submit the application, you will need to pay a filing fee based on the organization's anticipated funding level. You pay this fee whether you get your approval or not. Remember, there are no guarantees. Fees do not include other expenses incurred while completing the application process, such as accounting, attorney, or consultant fees. The IRS fee is non-refundable. Tax exemption. In accordance with state, county, or municipal law, You may apply for exemption from income, sales, and property taxes. Also, contact your county, municipal, and your state's Department of Revenue for information on how to do this in your jurisdiction. Tax exemption status works both ways. Your tax-exempt status is a benefit for donors as well as for your organization. Contributors can deduct donations given to your organization off their income tax at the end of the year. Your organization will also have certain rights as a tax-exempt entity. This could include an exemption from paying tax on certain products and services and potentially lowering the percentage of any property taxes. Get information from your state's Department of Revenue and your county's auditor for clarification. Don't ignore information about charitable giving laws. It would be terrible to raise $10,000 from an event only to find that it goes against jurisdictional rules because you did not have a permit. You raise funds for your organization, not yourself. Contact the state's Attorney General's office, the State Department of Commerce, state and local departments of revenue, and county or municipal clerk's office to get information. In Minnesota, use the resources on the slide to gain information about charitable giving laws. In other states, check with similar organizations. In all cases, compliance is good. You know postage rates occasionally increase. Protect your costs. Save money with a nonprofit mailing permit. While first-class postage rates for nonprofits remain the same as those for the for-profit sector, second- and third-class rates can be substantially less when nonprofits mail to a large number of addresses. You can get this permit by applying through the U.S. Postal Service. Okay, it's time to launch. Again, money. You have structured your organization with a passionate mission, professional board members, and quality staff. You have met your social responsibilities and have fantastic ideas. So how do you pay for it? You know going in, your 501c3 status will enable you to apply for grants and other funds from a variety of sources, whether it's individuals, corporate foundations, or other granting entities. This, of course, is fundraising, and also called development in the nonprofit industry. And it's true, your 501c3 status will assist you in this effort. Your organization's approval or determination letter is critical to any fund request. You need to have it. Your request for funding will not be considered without it. Make 100 copies and safeguard it. When you do anything that you do not want to pay taxes on, you will need to provide a copy of your IRS determination letter. This is the document that lets everyone know you have a 501c3 status. There are a variety of ways to raise funds. You would benefit from seeking information from the Association of Fundraising Professionals, also called AFP, through their website at www.afpnet.org. On the AFP website, you can also find the AFP state chapters to contact. Folks, be very careful raising funds. If you have never raised funds before, seek advice and assistance from fundraising professionals. Notice now, I didn't say professional fundraising companies. There are a lot of companies that claim they will raise thousands and thousands of dollars for your effort. Be careful. If they are local to you and have a good representation amongst the nonprofit organizations in your area, check them out. However, it's important to do your homework and above all, protect your organization. Remind your donors that they can claim their contributions as tax-deductible donations. Advise your donors to seek tax information from a professional. Maintaining a good relationship with them is called stewardship. Develop it. You need their continued support. This presentation for the 13 steps to forming a nonprofit 501c3 is available as a digital document. Send your request to me Dave Miller at the email address on the slide, which is david.miller@scorevolunteer.org. Or you can also download the slides from score-mn.org. Thank you for viewing this webinar. I hope you found it informative and useful. Good luck to everyone.
Thank you, David. David is a face-to-face mentor, as he said, with the Brainerd, Minnesota SCORE chapter and a cyber email mentor who works with SCORE clients internationally. In addition to what you've learned today, you are encouraged to seek mentoring at your local SCORE Minnesota chapter. SCORE volunteers know the local business community and can offer insight and other experience to you. One service SCORE can offer is assistance in developing a business plan. If you are from outside Minnesota, we urge you to establish a relationship with your local SCORE chapter. Visit the score.org website to find a chapter near you. Finally, if you have other questions, we have a dedicated email address to further serve you. As a nonprofit organization ourselves, dedicated to helping you start and grow a business, we must make certain disclosures ourselves. We rely on various experts to present a topic, and the content is strictly for your education. SCORE Minnesota, nor any of its chapters, endorse any specific vendor or approach. Finally, any screenshots of websites and so forth are provided only for illustration because each vendor will look a little differently. We hope this information has been helpful. Realize, of course, this is not an easy task to perform. You do not want to tackle this effort on your own. Choose quality board and team members to help you through this process. SCORE Minnesota is indebted to many people to develop and make these online, on-demand webinars available to you. The first one we want to recognize today is David Miller, who has extensive experience in this field. Review all of the necessary requirements from A to double Z and get a firm grasp on what needs to be done to be successful in completing the application. Take note also that Dave mentioned several times to be successful in gaining your 501c3 approval, you must follow the steps. That comes after you have crossed every T and dotted every I, and hopefully after your IRS agent had a good night's sleep. Second, we want to recognize Veritas Marketing, who has reviewed and guided us in developing each of the webinars. Their technical knowledge has been invaluable. And finally is the Wells Fargo Foundation, whose funding commitment makes it possible to finance the infrastructure to mount and maintain these webinars on the Internet. Well, I hope we have helped you think through this process, and David and I will close with thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Please stand by.